cup at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time.
Well, welcome. We are not doing tea time. We are doing tea time update. That's right. We are doing something different today. And I have a returning guest that was back in the studio with me back in May. I have Jeff Risley back in, and he's got an incredible update, a new book. That's right. We're going to be talking new stuff. So I'm going to get Jeff right in here, and it's going to be a little different. So if you were expecting a tea time, well, guess what? It's tea time update. That's right. So I'll welcome Jeff. Welcome, Jeff, to Tea Time Update.
Namaste, Liz. Good to be with you again.
So, Jeff, we talked back in May, and it's been a couple months. So, what has happened since May?
Well, big news for me is my 14th book was just published. And so I was, really happy to hear from you again and always like to stay connected with you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about the latest book.
So, what is the latest book called?
72 Wisdoms.
Wow, wisdoms. Ooh, sounds interesting. So, tell us a little bit about this book.
It is 72 pretty short chapters, and each one introduces a topic and then a quote, and each topic are range from really just sort of ordinary concerns to very deep philosophical issues. And the the quote that introduces the chapter, it expresses a wisdom about that particular topic, and then in each chapter I dig down into that quote. I describe who it was that said or wrote that wisdom saying, what the context was, a little biographical information about the person, and then I try to elaborate on what it really means, share some personal experiences, throw in what I hope is a little humor here and there. But so, like I said, it goes from things like how to deal with an annoying friend to how to face your own death, how to live a meaningful life, when to use humor at the office. So, just a wide variety of different topics.
The little information that you sent to me, Jeff, was, for example, that the different people that are in there, the quotes that are in there are from Jesus, Muhammad Ali, Betty White, Einstein, Dr. Seuss, Steve Hawkins, and so many incredible other ones. So what brought those quotes to this book?
Yeah, it's actually sort of a mystery to me. Because I started writing this book with just a handful of quotes and topics in mind that I wanted to write about. I wasn't really sure this was going to turn into a book or just an article, but the more of them I did, the more sort of into it I got, the more enthusiastic I felt about finding wise sayings that covered all these different topics. So eventually I decided I had to cut it off. So I chose 72, which has sort of some mystical connotations in Buddhism and ancient Judaism. But the way the quotes and the topics came to me, I just was open to seeing what would happen, and these different quotes I encountered in all sorts of different ways. Something I was reading, something I saw on TV or on the internet, something a friend mentioned. And so I just, when something seemed meaningful, I would note it down, and then the order just seemed to kind of flow naturally.
So are these some of your models that you look up to? Because I noticed that there's a lot of incredible uh, quotes in here from some incredible people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, quite a few of the quotes are from people that I think are, well, I mean, some of the wisest people in history. I mean, like Socrates is one, Lao Tzu is another, Aristotle, another, Jesus. Um, but then we have from a lot of modern sources, like Lucille Ball, Betty White, Stephen Hawking, Muhammad Ali, um, even one from a current NBA player, Nikola Jokic. Um, so uh, yeah, so ancient, long dead, wise people, and then some much more modern, current, even sort of pop culture wisdoms. I mean, like, one of the wisdoms is make war, not peace, which uh, came to me in thinking about and writing about the war in Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and how in the 60s during the Vietnam War, actually maybe the early 70s, I had a pin that said "Make war, not peace," and then looking at how here 2 generations later, and we're still making war instead of peace. And so that particular essay, even though the wisdom is just based on this pop culture saying, which I tried to find the original source of, um, and I relate in that chapter the research, what the research revealed, but there is no individual person that can be tracked down as who came up with that particular phrase. It was first used, that the research indicates, in San Francisco in 1968 by anti-Vietnam War demonstrators. Um, but so that chapter talks about the history of that phrase, and then and how it relates to what the world is experiencing right now, like in Ukraine and Ethiopia.
So where can anybody find this incredible book of 72 Wonders?
It's sold exclusively on Amazon. Our publishing company, Midsummer Books, has an exclusive distribution deal with Amazon, so it's only available on Amazon.
So just Amazon, good old Amazon. And how's it
Yeah.
doing on Amazon, Jeff?
Thanks. Well, I've never had a book of all 14 that has done as well as I wish it would, or I think it should. But yeah, it's selling. It's only been out for not quite 2 weeks. So I hope it sells more. I think it has a lot to offer. I'm sorry, excuse me.
You have to drink a little bit of tea there, Jeff.
I know. Well, the last time we talked, I had a nice cup of tea, but I've already had a cup of tea and 2 cups of coffee today, Liz. So
yeah, we'll just slow you down a little.
I'm stuck with just some water today.
Oh, well, that's good. Water's good for you too. So we need to drink our water. Remember to drink our water and that. So, Jeff,
Yeah.
any other goodies around the corner that are coming for you this year?
I don't know. What the way my writing life and sort of flow tends to go is I finish a book, and then I'll spend maybe a month or so, or 2 months, and not write anything new. Although I might write an article or two, because I've written a lot of articles. Um, but it just, you're kind of using up that energy of finishing a book. It takes a while to feel like I can get energized to start another. But it's an addiction. So even though I have absolutely no idea for the next project, I'm sure one will come to me, because if it doesn't, it's like, I go into withdrawal. I don't feel good. I have to write. It's an addiction.
So have you done any more traveling? Have you taken any more hikes in the mountains?
Um, well, I have not been back to Nepal. And the country was virtually closed off because of COVID for really 2.5 years. But my foundation, the Basa Village Foundation, we finally, just last month, were able to send some of our representatives back to the Basa area of Nepal, and I'm waiting for a report, which we should be getting very soon, from what our board member Sydney and her group experienced and found out. And we're in the process of developing another project, which is really, I think, very interesting, because all the projects we've done in the past were infrastructure, schools, electricity, water, medical clinic, that kind of thing. But we're actually going to develop a revenue generating agricultural project, which is probably going to be raising sheep and goats, because what the villagers experienced during COVID was they had no income. Now, most of the villagers are subsistence farmers, and they didn't starve because they grow their own food, they eat their own food, but some of them have become dependent on working for an outfitter company called Adventure Geotreks, which staffs mountaineering and trekking expeditions, which was how I got originally connected with Basa Village. And with no income coming in for 2.5 years, what the villagers told me that they really need is they need some way other than the tourist industry to generate revenue for the villagers. So we're working on developing a cooperative project which all the villagers will participate in, and we'll probably start fundraising for that in December.
So is everything moving again over in Nepal?
Yeah, the country reopened for tourism last spring, and it was a trickle compared to what they're used to. The flow became greater this fall, but it's still way under, historically what they've had and what they needed. Tourism is the second biggest industry after agriculture. So when tourism is down, the whole country really suffers.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for joining me for this incredible update and for the new project that's coming. So you'll have to let me know on how that works, and we'll have to get together again. And I want to thank you for reaching out to me, because this is what Tea Time is all about: staying connected, staying that, and growing the network, right? So if we stay connected and we keep sharing and we keep bringing these updates to everyone out there, we actually do make a difference and we do impact people's lives. So, Jeff, I want to really thank you for coming and giving me this update on a live Tea Time update. And that's right. So it is not a tea time today. Today is a Tea Time update. Miss Liz is working on videos for all of that too, because my guests keep coming out to me and saying, "Hey, Liz, can I come back?" And this is what I love, and I enjoy having you reach out to me and say, "I want to come back," because that shows that I'm doing what I need to be doing. So, Jeff, before we wrap up this Tea Time update, you know the question I'm going to ask. What is your tea today? So what words do you have for me today for those TEA?
Okay. So I didn't come up with a TEA wisdom because you didn't remind me.
So I'm putting you on the spot. So
So you
we're
didn't
serving the
remind me
strong tea
to
today with
do
the
that.
update.
Um, so what I am going to just briefly mention, one of the wisdoms that I think this time of year in the US, because it's election time and there's so much anger and polarization that here we're experiencing in this country, is compassion. And the saying that on the chapter that is introducing the topic of compassion is from the Dalai Lama. And Dalai Lama's saying is, if you want to be happy, show compassion to others. If you want to be happy, show compassion to yourself. And so I think that's a good message, to a good wisdom to remember for all of us every day, especially in these so angry, polarized times. But I want to thank you, Liz, so much for having me back. It's great to talk to you and stay connected with you and keep doing what you're doing and having that cup of tea.
No, thank you so much. And you see, this is where my guests, they kind of switch the table on me and they kind of bring light to my table as well. So Jeff, thank you for bringing light to my table and bringing the wisdom to my table as well. Because without your wisdom and without other people's wisdom, we can't grow. It is togetherness that actually makes a difference. And like you said, compassion. We all need to have a little bit of compassion. So again, thank you, Jeff, for joining me for an update. And thank you to the viewers and supporters that tuned in today. And if you catch the replay, please let Miss Liz know where you're tuning in from, because I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. And this will be uploaded to the podcast stations as well. So if you've missed it, you can still check out Jeff Rasley and his new book of 72 Wisdoms. That's right. Go and grab a copy. It is only available on Amazon. So the Amazon link will be in the description of the podcast audio stations. And I want to thank the Tea Time guests who have been on season 1, 2, and 3. And I will see some of you guys in December for a reunion tea time. So look out for that. Miss Liz has a lot of goodies that are coming. So we're going to spill tea in a different way. And we're going to make sure that humanity comes together one cup of tea at a time. So thank you, Jeff, for joining me again. Thank you to the Tea Time guests. I seen you. Thank you, Tammy, for joining us. Tammy was also a Tea Time guest back in season 1, I believe. So again, check out the Tea Times. They are on YouTube and they are there for life. So if you missed the Tea Time, you can watch it at your own time in your own pace. So again, I will see everybody Thursday when I have a double tea time. That is right. We have double tea time. So check out for that. But again, this is an update tea time. So it's short, it's sweet, just like me, a cup of tea that gives wisdom to everyone that we can make a difference when we serve ourselves. Thank you.